Good evening, everyone. I'm going to call this meeting to order. It's January 27th, 6 o'clock. First things first, we're going to do approval of the agenda. We have condolences on, oh, sorry. That's not very nice. Regrets tonight from our CEO treasurer. So we're going to move a few things to the next meeting. Item 12.2 and item 19.3. So the motion is that the agenda for the council meeting of Monday, January 27th, 2025 be approved as amended. Can I have a mover and seconder? Deputy Mayor Burton, Councillor Kirkby, all in favor? Great, thank you. And just would like to welcome our guests. We have a few guests of former councillors in the room and some media, as well as a couple of presentations. And because our internet, we do this lovely winter weather, some of our internet might be down, so we might be missing Councillor McConnell. We'll see if he comes in and out. So
for you, Mayor Shankar, it does appear as though Councillor McConnell is online.
Oh, he is online. Good, good. All right. Welcome, Councillor McConnell. Next thing's declaration of interest. Does anyone have any declaration of interest tonight? Seeing none, hearing none, I'm going to move on. So the first thing, we have two presentations tonight. First one is the community paramedic program. And for that, we have Deputy Chief Jonathan Sylvester and Superintendent Chris Fournier here. So the podium is yours, guys. And
thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. Thank you. I'm Jonathan Sylvester with Fleet's Grenville Paramedic Service. With me is our superintendent of our community paramedic program. So we were asked just to come in to give a little bit of an overview of our community paramedic program. We've been operating in the area for a number of years now. And so just giving a little bit of an expansion, ask questions or any information that you're looking for. We'll kind of go over a little bit of an overview of the program. We'll switch slides. So we'll touch just a little bit on origins of kind of where community paramedicine came from, a little bit of program direction, community partnerships and provincial partnerships. Chris is going to touch a little bit on some of the services that are offered. Program statistics, just with a little bit of numbers and kind of where and who we're seeing in the community. Some of our initiatives, and then a little bit of just long-term goals. We're just going to try and keep it fairly short. 5 or 10 minutes as an overview is what we'll go for. So next slide. So the origins of community paramedicine, we started in the counties in and around 2018, kind of in the northeast of the counties in North Grenville. We were originally funded through Champlain Lynn, which offered us the ability to start doing some seniors at home programming in the area. Little by little, that expanded as the province noted a need for community programs, sort of somewhere between the 911 system, the hospital and home care. There were still quite a number of gaps in services. So that started to expand. As that was kind of rolling out from the province, the little thing called COVID came around and kind of slowed expansion and really changed direction for a couple of years as a lot of the resources were put into COVID swabbing, COVID vaccine clinics. However, as we came through that, what the province and local community realized is the community paramedic program was very adaptable to meeting local needs as they were required within the community. So expansion across the province with community paramedic programs took place, so that now we actually have all 55 paramedic services now offer community paramedic programs, all in different. The great thing or the advantage of various community paramedic programs is we're able to help address community needs by creating a program locally. So what a program in the north may be different than what we need in the south or in an urban center versus a rural center. Our area where we have different demographics, we're able to address through programming at a local level, which is great. So we'll switch there. Program direction, we're 100% funded through the Ministry of Long-Term Care and the Ministry of Health. originally designed to support individuals who are at home awaiting long-term care placement, as we had long wait lists for long-term care, nursing homes, retirements, as you may have heard. There's quite a extensive wait time. So the idea was that programming would initially be set up to support folks that were waiting in long-term care. That's since developed into a lot of other programs with the Ministry of Health in order to address other local needs, things like emergency department diversion, support for home care, as we know we still have a lot of healthcare positions that need to get filled, PSWs and home care. So community paramedic program is addressing a lot of those home cares as well. Because we have a number of unattached patients in the community, we know that we need to promote more primary care as well in the area. The program partners with primary care, with home and community care, with our Ontario health teams to also try and expand the reach for primary care, for clinics, for family health teams to kind of support their patient load as well. So next slide. And touching on partnerships a little bit, it does still, we have a lot of collaborative partnerships. We work through post-stroke programming, diabetic outreach, palliative care, through virtual care as well is starting to become very prevalent in the area as it's addressing needs for unattached patients who may not have the ability to seek out a primary care provider. Virtual care is starting to fill some of that void, and the community paramedics are able to help support virtual care through in-person visits, in-person assessments in order to support virtual care. We're involved in a number of the Ontario Health Community of Practice tables and a number of local community agencies. We all support in a collaborative model. We'll switch next slide.
So as Jonathan spoke to, our program has kind of evolved since its inception, as most of the CP programs have across Ontario. And so we've really tried to increase access to care for all the individuals residing within the United Counties of Leeds and Grenville, and just have that increase in capacity in the healthcare system. So the services we offer vary from both in-home services in the clinic settings. We were successful in running 12 clinics throughout the United Counties of Leeds and Grenville, partnering with our social housing department. And these clinics include vaccinations, everything from COVID and influenza to tetanus, shingles, and Prevnar, point of care diagnostics, because we really are trying to create that capacity and getting to the proactive side of medicine and historically not the reactive side, which is paramedics have lived normally. So we really have branched out into expanding our point of care diagnostics we offer in the home. So things like a urinalysis machine. Our community paramedics can go into your residence, analyze the urine, detect certain traces of things, and then treat you with an antibiotic. Therefore, negating the need to go to an emergency department or negating the fact of disease process escalation. So this is building capacity both into our hospitals and our 911 service. We are also trying to support the residents of Leeds Grenville who are waiting for long-term care placement. That number has gone up. I think we're around approximately 500 now waiting for long-term care throughout our county. So we're trying to help assist those residents that are waiting for those placements. As Jonathan spoke to, we also are working in our palliative care, working with our OH palliative care clinical leads to expand the knowledge of our community paramedics with physician-led lead courses, advanced care planning, and things of that nature. For all of our partnerships, we are always trying to just provide the right care at the right place in the right time and really have that prevention of disease escalation. Next slide, please. So just a brief snapshot of the last quarter of our program. So we have about 1,200 active clients currently throughout the entire county of Leeds Grenville. We were able to have 1,209 home visits. So that's a community paramedic in the resident's home. We had approximately 800 through the 12 clinics. So we had quite a capture throughout the entire county, which was lovely to see. For those that just needed a follow-up, like a post-treatment or post-blood draw, post-analysis, things of that nature, a telephone call was just to check in, a wellness, hey, how are you? How are you responding to your meds? Has that referral come through yet? And just have that touch point again to prevent that escalation. As well as for those that are unattached or vulnerably attached, working with ERDCC to get them a referral to a specialist, an antibiotic renewal, prescription renewal, things of that nature as physicians in our region start to retire and there's no one to take on those practices potentially. The one statistic that I really, Jonathan and I are quite fond of is that 911 diversion piece. We were able to successfully divert 355 calls from our 911 service through community paramedicine. And these are with fairly conservative metrics of when somebody calls the office and says, hey, I was going to call 911, what should I do? Or I've got this sensation, I need assistance, I need a diagnostic, I need an antibiotic. Things of those natures are what we're able to divert from. And I want to say the majority of our clients have 6 or more comorbidities and advanced disease processes. So we are used to handling complex cases with our clientele. Next slide, please. So some of the initiatives we have right now within our community paramedic program is the post-stroke discharge support. We'll be the first community paramedic program in the Southeast Lynn to adopt this program. This was designed by the Franklin Lynn Regional Stroke Network and implemented in those community paramedic practices first before transitioning over to the Southeast Lynn. As we nestle between both Lynns here in Leeds Grenville, we thought it appropriate that all residents of Leeds Grenville should benefit from this wonderful program. That's why we are trialing it first and rolling it out. We're also partnering with the Southeast Lynn Stroke Network for stroke prevention pieces with our remote care monitoring, things of that nature to help that client population. As well with the paramedics mobility, working 365, 24/7, the ability to go out and meet clients where they are, such as the encampments and things of that nature. We've expanded our outreach position as well to help better serve that population, increase their access to care. And that ties nicely in with our mobile health clinics. We're able to convert some of our old ambulances and to address the needs that that population needs in the back of our ambulances. So we're putting our outreach medics through advanced walk, things of that nature to increase their specialization serving certain demographics.
So from a goals perspective, just to sum up a little bit what Chris has touched on, the goal of the program is just to continue collaborating with the existing healthcare network that's in Leeds Grenville, that's in Prescott, the family health teams that are here to try and determine how best we can support, but not duplicate services that are there. We play a significant role in a supportive way for physicians, for home care, for care coordinators. As Chris touched on, we're mobile and we're 24/7. So we're after hours, we're the weekends, we're the touch point when the regular healthcare system perhaps is not poised to be able to service a need that perhaps can be dealt with where most patients, most clients want to stay, which is at home. So if they're able to receive care at home, a lot of times that's much more beneficial from a family perspective and from a patient perspective, from a patient journey perspective, if that care can be done where they are. The benefits. So we're going to be continuing developing program to help support those patients. Continuing to bring in new programming. We meet regularly with our provincial partners in community paramedicine through the paramedic practice groups in order to determine, are there further needs that we're not addressing at the moment? Are there hospital discharge programs that could be better supported through a partnership with community paramedicine? We also have, we also are quite proud of the program and the reach that we've been able to see in the community with a very, conservatively funded program through the province. We are still petitioning the province for additional funds for continuation. We are still a temporarily funded program out until 2026. Beyond that, we're not sure where the program is going from there, but we'll be continuing to work with our provincial partners in order to try and solidify funding and long-term funding for community paramedicine as well. That's about it. We're more than happy to take, I don't want to take too much time, but if anybody has any questions or comments, we're happy to answer anything we can.
Thank you guys for a great presentation. I'll open up the floor for questions. Councillor Kirkfield and Councillor Wong.
Through you, Mayor Shankar. I'll be honest, when I saw the presentation on the agenda, this wasn't there, so then I started snooping around on the internet. And I was surprised when I thought of the paramedic service, I just thought it was the number I called when I needed paramedic, somebody to come take me pretty much from the house to the hospital. So I was a little ignorant on all the services that you provided in the stuff that you taught tonight. I think it's a great model. And so can you just explain, so is the paramedic that responds the same individual that's doing this work, or is this a separate group that is hired under that branch to do this work?
So through the mayor, so in order to occupy a paramedic position, one must be certified as a paramedic at the various certification levels. So all of our community paramedics are also 911 paramedics as well. So most of the paramedics that work within the paramedic program have put interest forward to work in a different capacity. There are times where they are flipping between a 911 response. For example, if they go to a home with the intent of a quiet home visit, that sometimes can escalate into a 911 call as well. So they'll switch hats, moving over to their emergency type protocols versus a community paramedic. So the community paramedics are currently in our program. We have 4 full-time positions. We have 2 contract positions. So we currently have 6 that work within the program, and they're dedicated to the program during their shift to be able to operate as a community paramedic, doing home visits, doing follow-up, supporting clinics, and only kind of reverting over to the 911 when they're encountering an emergency along the way.
Perfect. That's exactly kind of where I was going with that question. I mean, the model is great. What is the biggest roadblock, and how can municipalities, besides putting some kind of motion forward to support the paramedicine program, what is the roadblocks to the program, if any?
Well, yeah, through the mayor, I would say one of our biggest is, as we are a temporarily funded program, it is difficult to forecast. It's difficult to plan beyond beyond an end date. It's difficult to plan when many of our positions are, say, temporary, full-time type contract positions. So from an investment standpoint, it is a little bit challenging to look beyond that time frame. There is a lot of work, a lot of our colleagues and ourselves are petitioning and working a lot with our Ontario Health partners, our Ontario Health team, the Ministry of Long-Term Care, all to petition for the continuation of community paramedicine. I think it's very evident that it's a successful model. It's very evident that an adaptable model of care within the community is needed. COVID proved that. And I think in order for us to be positioned moving forward as communities, we do need a service like this, which is mobile, which is adaptable, which can expand and contract and can make new partnerships, and is kind of unencumbered from a traditional pathway in order to provide services. So certainly from a government standpoint, from a council standpoint, as discussions come up with the province, making sure that they are aware and they are reminded of the benefits of the program, and that any decisions moving forward from a permanent standpoint, base funding, for example, from a province, is beneficial in our circle.
Thank you.
Very good. Councillor Young? Do you have your hand up earlier?
Thank you, Mayor Shank. No, I was just going to echo Justin's sentiments, like what a great model to have. And I wasn't even aware of it. I think that's what's kind of caught me off guard, that I wasn't aware of the program at all.
Yeah, so through the mayor, just to answer a little bit, we do share, there's 11 out of the 13 community paramedic services share a website, communityparamedics.ca, which is also a referral platform as well. So any healthcare provider can go onto that platform and find the community paramedic program in their region. We're looking to build up that website as well with a little bit more information. Our Ontario Health partners we've been very fortunate to be able to put a little bit of funding into the development of increased referral pathways, which will allow a little bit more awareness outside of our small little circle. Yeah, maybe we're not the greatest self-promoters, I suppose. You call, we come. But we're definitely building that out with community paramedicine, and it's just one of the steps to try and get a little bit more awareness out there as to what we can do.
Yeah.
And that includes our primary care partners and our physician partners to make sure they're aware that there is a way to kind of help support some of their patients in the community that they'll find advantageous.
Thank you very much. I remember I went about a couple months ago and I observed when you guys were in town. So on that note, and being that you're not great self-promoters, how often do you guys come to Prescott? Is there a day? Is there somehow we can help petition the public to let them know that you're in town?
Yeah, so as far as community paramedic coming to Prescott, they're here daily, but as far as a community clinic, I think quarterly would be a good time to sit down and talk about capacity and sustainability, because we do service the entire county of Leeds-Grenville. But certainly to have that PR push from your office prior to a clinic would be fantastic.
We can definitely do that. Follow up, yep.
One follow-up, sorry. Previously you said that you diverted calls from 911. So was that care providers calling your service, or was that actual individuals calling out?
That was, that was actual individuals calling our line prior to. Most of our messaging and our magnets and what have you, they're if in doubt, they're to call us first, and then we can direct them, we can triage. They always speak to a paramedic, whether 911 is more appropriate or if this disease process can be mitigated and treated by CP to prevent that ER presentation and 911 activation.
So just to follow up on that, I didn't know myself that this number existed. I just thought 911 was the only option, or my doctor if I could live without 911. It sounds like, this is a great potential for people to use this service.
We have family physicians do use this quite regular. We get referrals daily for follow-up. If a physician is unable to see a patient, or if the ER perhaps is the only option, we're able to perhaps leave some capacity within our day to do acute visits, which then will spurn a clinical report back to a doctor who's able to either follow up with physician care, follow up with another referral, follow up with orders based on that assessment. So it is just that extension. We do get regular requests from both hospital and specialists and physicians in order to kind of follow up, which may also does contribute to a 911 diversion. We have a regular roster of active, as Chris knows, we have about 1,200 active clients that we see regularly. And then we do try and leave a little bit of space each day in order to be able to address, acute concerns that may come across, whether they're, active clients enrolled with our program or perhaps in support of other healthcare in the community.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, gentlemen. That was very informative, and I appreciate you guys coming today.
Thank you for having
Thank you.
us.
Do we have a number we can put on our website? Or not?
It's
Building here?
the numbers right there.
Oh, I see it.
Take care.
Is that
All right.
on our website? On our website, I wonder? Is that a number?
So next up, we have Rito St. Lawrence Utilities and Simon Hugh and Hugh Cameron. Hugh, you gonna speak or no? I'm just teasing you. Thank you. All right, Simon, the floor is yours.
All right, thank you, Mayor Shanker. Good evening, Mayor Shanker, councilors, staff. It's nice to see everybody, and thanks for the opportunity to speak to Rito St. Lawrence and some of the work we're doing. The unanimous shareholder agreement, as I'll call it USA, is a pretty important document for our corporation. It really dictates how we operate and how major decisions are being made within the corporation. So what I plan to discuss with you guys this evening is a little bit of background. What were the changes that we're proposing within the unanimous shareholder amendment, and then the process we utilized to go about this change and some of the next steps. So Rito St. Lawrence Holdings Company is a company of 25 years old. is owned by 5 shareholders, 4 of which are municipal. So we got Prescott, we got Edwards Cardinal, we got South Dundas, and Westport as the municipal shareholders. And as well, there's a 10% shareholder of Fortis Ontario. Okay, Fortis Ontario is a utility company. They're part of a public traded company. Now, our mission is to provide stable electricity and innovative services to deliver superior value to the communities that we serve. Our main business is to deliver safe and reliable electricity to local communities. And RSL has historically also had other business lines called affiliated businesses. So as you guys will well know, it was water, wastewater services being one of them, in which we do billing, customer service, meter reading and such. As well, we also have hot water tank rentals for the communities that we serve along the St. Lawrence. Separate to that, historically, we've also had some dark fiber optics for a couple of customers in Prescott and in Cardinal as well. Now, in our corporate strategy and with the encouragement of shareholders and councillors at our recent AGMs last couple of years, we've identified that there's some opportunities to increase lines of business within our company. And this is in the eye for profitability and shareholder value. And so some of these opportunities stem from a couple of momentum in the industry. So one is there's electrification and energy transition going on. And so with that changes, there's lots of opportunities that come up. Some of which, for example, are, we talk about EVs, we talk about solar panels. These are all a plethora of examples within the industry. Now, separate to that, along the business that we operate, sometimes there's also opportunity for us to provide services where it makes sense in related businesses. So in the last couple of years, we've explored many new businesses, and we've actually successfully completed 2. And so one of them is, for example, street lighting. So in Prescott, we've done around 30 street lights. So this is replacing poles, installing new lights. We've also serviced neighboring communities in Augusta. So they've also had a few lights go up in Marcall by their waste stations that we've been able to supply. Also, separate to that, we've provided some customer information system services for our peer utilities. We had an expertise with the house, and some of the peer utilities asked us to provide a service, and we're able to provide that service for them. So these are a couple of opportunities that did convert. Like all businesses, with successful conversions, you also go through quite a few reviews of other businesses that were pursued that were not successful. And we've reviewed why they weren't successful. Mainly, of course, there's lots of businesses that don't fit into the model that we have. We're a small utility company, and some of those services may not be related to our expertise or may not be necessarily within our a size that makes sense for us. But there have been businesses where the scope, it would make sense, but our scope of our unanimous shareholder agreement as it exists now wouldn't allow us to pursue it. And the second one is for speed. So when we look at sometimes these small businesses that come up for acquisition, to go through all the 4 municipal shareholders and all the councils and Fortis Ontario to make a decision and acquire a small business, it would just take too long for that to convert. And so the driving force of the USA were these 2 main factors. And so scope and speed. So the original USA, the scope was limited to the original businesses that we perform. So fiber, water, wastewater services, hot water tanks. It wouldn't even allow us to get back into street lighting, which we tapped into and we used to be into 10 or 15 years ago, but that wasn't envisioned in the original unanimous shareholder agreement. Now, on the speed side, I talked a little bit about why it would take a long time to align all the 4 municipal shareholders plus Fortis Ontario. So the portion within the USA that was updated for the business to acquire businesses up to 15% of the shareholder equity. So in RSL, the shareholder equity for 2023 audited statements was just under $6 million, and 15% of that would equal $900,000. And so in the past, any acquisitions would have to go through shareholder decision. So that go through 4 councils plus Fortis Ontario. And what this is proposing in Amendment USA is that anything under $900,000, the board of directors could make that decision for the corporation and be able to move on. Anything above $900,000 would still come to shareholders for major decisions, okay? So, and that's to address the fact that we want to move fast, but also still have good governance and oversight and mitigate risks within the organization and for the shareholders. But now, once we open up the USA, there are many other items that we have to clean up. So some of them were name changes for the various shareholders within that agreement. Another one was for our Vito Singlers Distribution Corporation. The affiliate relationship code dictates that we have 1/3 independent directors. That was enacted back in the day when that code was implemented, but it wasn't updated within our United Shareholder Agreement. That was also updated. And then some of the other ones would be, for example, how we provide notifications. It is 2025 and we use electronic means too as well. And also some other articles which address which type of accounting standard we refer to, and just some of these minor changes that have to be updated along the way. And so we started this process about a year ago, and RSL, along the board of directors, initiated the changes with our legal counsel. And once we had a draft established, we reached out to all the shareholders. For the municipal shareholders, was through the CAO. And what Fortis did was they used an internal legal counsel, but the 4 municipal shareholders shared a external legal counsel to review these changes. All sides provided input. We got together in December to discuss what's the common ground and how we move forward, and got an aligned amended USA draft that's been presented to you guys that is in the package. And we decided that in January, we come out to all the different councils and all the shareholders in Fortis Ontario as well to discuss the topics. And once we get a alignment, a directional alignment, then in February, we would go ahead and pass the bylaws if we do get that alignment and get the new United Shareholder Agreement signed. All right, so far, I've gone to Westport, South Dundas, and Mercer Cardinal, and all were very positive and what the changes would be. And today I discussed it with the executives of Fortis Ontario. So they're, they show positive intention. So they're just waiting to see kind of how the rest of these discussions go. And then if it is successful, then we'll have an updated United Shareholder Agreement for February. All right, and so that's the end of my presentation. I'm happy to take any questions or comments from the council.
All right. Thanks for the presentation. I'll open it up. Any questions, Councillor Kirkby?
We got through you, Mayor Shanker. We got a short agenda tonight, so I'll ask some questions. Simon, just reading through this, I get the feeling that Rideau St. Lawrence would like to expand some of the services or explore offering different services. Is there anything that you could share that possibly, is there services that you would be looking into that expand?
Yeah, for sure. Through you, Mayor. So in this last year and a half, we've looked at quite a few, some of which are specific to the electric field. So in terms of our customer portals, others would be in the engineering or surveying field because as you know, we are a utility company and we do require GIS, so Geographic Information Systems, but we're a small utility in which we can't staff a full-time person for the Geographic Information System or for engineering. So we kind of have to either have a unicorn where they have lots of varying skills, tree trimming, and these different types of services, or we can get into these other businesses and provide services for the communities or other utilities. And so these are all in relation to what we operate and how we go about our business. Some of the other ones that we've talked about, even at the AGMs, would be oftentimes we are at homes where folks want generators, Generacs, and we are popping off the meter for them just for the electrician to come and pop the collar on. These things are would be easy for us if we do have the right skills to approach. Not that that's our priority to go after, but these are all related services that we've looked at. We've also looked at EV chargers for the local area and providing those types of services, but that hasn't been a profitable endeavor. And because what we're doing is going after profitability and shareholder value. We haven't pursued those type of businesses. Yeah.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Kirkby. Anyone else? So what do you need from us going forward? Do you need a motion or an approval?
I think it's just an indication. I think for now, there's nothing necessary until February is what we had agreed on. So just a discussion, getting a sense from council as to what the feeling is, and if there isn't too many concerns from what was presented, then we get the feeling that in February, all the shareholders would be passing bylaws for signature. And so that's the timing that we discussed.
Okay. Any other questions? Councillor McConnell, you good?
I did have a question, but Councillor Kirby managed to ask it ahead of me, so I'm fine. Thank you for asking.
All right, thank you. All right, thanks, gentlemen.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, thanks you too.
All right, moving along, we don't have any delegations tonight. And 6 is minutes of the previous council meeting. So the motion is that the council minutes dated January 13th, 2025 be accepted as presented. Can I get a mover and seconder? Councillor Kirkby, Councillor Campbell. Any questions about the minutes? No? All right, seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Carried, thank you. All right, communications and petitions. We had a letter from the Enabling Opportunity Ontario's Rural Economic Development Strategy. Was there any discussion about that? That was from Minister of Rural Affairs. Okay, good. Moving on to consent reports, we did have an information package. Motion is that all items listed under the consent report section of the agenda be accepted as presented, unless anyone wants to pull anything out of that. Oh, Councillor Young?
So you, Mayor Shankar, thank you. The corporation is a municipality of South Huron as relates to the Heritage Act.
Okay, you want to pull that one out? Okay, anyone else? All right, so all items listed under consent reports minus the one from South Huron be accepted as presented. A mover and seconder, please. Deputy Mayor Burton, seconded by Councillor Young.
Yeah.
All right, good. All in favor? Carried, thank you.
Excuse me, Mayor Shankar.
Yes, sir.
Can I make a suggestion in regards to Tracy's pulling that one out? The one from South Huron was referenced to council by the actual Heritage Committee, and I would like to see us bounce that same thing their way to give some support to that when it comes back to council if we could.
That sounds like a good idea. Thank you. We can do that.
So through you, Mayor Shankar, the Heritage Committee is scheduled to meet February 20th, so it would come back to the meeting after that, to council.
Okay. So we'll delay it till after the Heritage Committee meeting. Okay, that's good. All right, thank you. No committee reports. Seeing none, and mayor's report. So in the last couple of weeks, I did go to Roma last weekend, which was a very, very good conference. Met a lot of people. I was part of 5 delegations, so there was 3 with Augusta. Augusta had Minister of Education, Minister of Transport, and Minister of Infrastructure. So those were really important meetings. The infrastructure one had to deal with our collaborative application to the Hughes funding. The Minister of Transportation had to deal with, they're looking for an exit off of 401 up Blue Church Road. So there was some good discussion there. They did talk about some of their plans. This is something that will take years, but They like the progress we're making. And Minister of Education was pushing forward with the Upper Canada School District Board that applying for a new school in the Augusta area. So that was those three. I also did one with the Eastern Ontario Mayor's Caucus. That was with the Solicitor General. It talked about cross-border paramedics and the VTech, which is a virtual medical care. So those were two good meetings there. And then the last one was with United Counties. And that had to do with the Minister of Health as well. So that was talking about paramedics there. The Solgen one was actually more OPP and firefighters. So you got a lot in a few days, and hopefully we get some good results out of that. So that was that. We also had a meeting last week. The three separated municipalities had a meeting just to discuss joint services agreement, St. Lawrence Lodge, and physician recruitment. I see that the United Counties have approved the physician recruitment. Now they'll bring that back to joint services, and then we'll bring it back to council. So that's how that works. So that's my report. There's a lot of other things, but I'll move the meeting along and go with Councillor Lockett.
Okay.
Sorry.
No. Last Saturday, on January 18th, that Saturday, I attended the Knights of Columbus fundraiser in Cardinal for the Special Olympics. And it was really well done. Councillor Kirkby was there as well. And they raised, they gave them a check for $1,100, was it, or?
He's 12.
12, yeah, $1,200. And some of the Olympic athletes were there, quite excited to be there. So that was fun. And on Monday, I attended the breakfast for MP Barrett at the Country Club in Brockville, and that was well attended. The timing wasn't the best because, as Mayor Shankar said, most of the mayors and a lot of councillors were at Roma. So he got to talk to the normal people, and it was very good. And tomorrow we have a St. Lawrence Lodge meeting, and it's going to be virtual tomorrow because of some issues that they've got as precautionary. So that's tomorrow.
All right. Thank you, Councillor Lockett. Councillor McConnell?
Thank you, Mayor
Tell us about the
Shankar.
snowman you made last week.
The snowman? No, we didn't have any snow here, although it did get a bit cold. Well, as a matter of fact, our last meeting, you all noticed I had two sweaters on. Tonight, I'm actually overdressed. I have a shirt on. It was beautiful here today. The sun was shining. I got a sunburn, but the
That's
temperature has been
Cut 'em off.
so up and down. It's just incredible. But I'll tell you, obviously, I haven't been in any committee meetings. I don't have any committee meetings this winter. But there's 500 sites here in this park. And just to give you an idea, in the area of Zephyr Hills where I am, there is roughly 100 parks. So there's a tremendous number of people here. The greatest number of people in this park are actually from Ontario. Prince Edward Island is third and Michigan is second. And in walking around the park in my morning walks, I always look at license plates to see where people are from, stickers if possible. So far, I've found 2 Riverside stickers on cars, which is kind of interesting. You never know where you're going to run into people. I was talking to one couple, they're from Kempville. The other one is a Riverside Brockville sticker, so I'll be interested to talk to them the next time I go by if they happen to be out. But when you get talking to people, it is a very small world, I'll tell you. It's incredible. Who knows who is related to somebody else. One of our neighbors is from Perth, another one from Smith Falls. We just had some people pull in who from Prince Edward Island who actually stayed with Nancy's uncle when he was younger. So it's a very, very small world. Anyway, thank you very much. And I hope you're enjoying your snowman weather.
Not.
Thank you, Councillor McConnell. Okay, Councillor Young.
Thank you, Mayor Shankar. We had a BIA meeting last week and Councillor Lockett was there as well. We set the date for our AGM to be March 25th. We're going to be looking for council approval for a couple of new board members. We're having 2 campaigns coming up. I Love Local for Valentine's Day, which was successful in the past. It was really good. And then we're also going to have a public campaign for International Women's Day. There's a South Granville Business After 5 coming up on January 30th at Little Barcelona at 5 p.m. And our economic development staff are going to be attending the Economic Developers Council of Ontario Conference from February 4th to the 7th. So I'm sure they'll bring back lots of great ideas. There's a call out for applications now for the pop-ups for next summer. And there's a lighthouse operator RFP, which launches February 1st. And finally, there have been some more wayfinding signs installed at King and Edward that look really good. So thank you. That's all.
Thank you, Councillor Young. Where is that conference, Dana? Trial, perfect. All right, Deputy Mayor Burton.
Thank you, Mayor Shankar. We welcome 2 new members to our library committee, Terry and Anthony. They're both new to the area and have only been living here for a very short period of time, so they're pretty excited to be part of the librarian board. And our librarian just completed her master's. So congratulations to Anne for all of her hard work. That's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Kim.
I have nothing to report at this time.
All right, short and sweet. Thank you. Councillor Kirkby.
Through you, Mayor Shankar. As noted by Councillor Lockett, I did attend the Knights of Columbus chili lunch for the fundraiser for Brockville and Area Special Olympics. It was a big turnout and we were definitely treated like royalty there with loot bags and stuff. I was a little surprised, but it was good turnout and it was good to support the local athletes. One individual I talked to was a bocce ball player and a swimmer. So he was very happy to be there. And just on one small note, I did take snow to Florida. I was down there last week and I brought snow to Jacksonville. But just some operations updates. So the Zamboni is getting its first service. So it's now crossed 1,000 hours of service. King Street light poles, the new ones are in, but scheduling around the weather, as we can tell, that's been a bit wonky lately. And then town staff is working through federal and provincial rural transit solutions to determine if we're eligible for any related funding for the river ring. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Kirkby. Along that Special Olympics point, you didn't mention, would you like to mention it?
Mayor Shankar,
Yeah. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Mayor Shankar, can I chip something in?
Sure.
Justin reminded me of something that I was going to mention, and according to the Tampa weather station last week, northern Florida has had more snow this winter than New York City, which is kind of it's just hard to believe, but true apparently. Thank you to Justin.
All right, thanks. No, I just want to know if you want to put a plug in for the Special Olympic athletes visiting Tim Hortons.
Yeah, I don't know the date though.
And
And I don't know the time. I think it's the
Okay.
3rd. We are,
It's on
yeah,
the internet.
yeah, we are doing a Special Olympic donut at all Tim Hortons, and most Tim Hortons are going to have some of the athletes in the store. And Prescott will be doing the same. I'm just not sure what time the athletes they basically let us know when they're going to come.
It'll be on the social media.
It's on, yeah.
One more?
One more community that, just for anybody, especially maybe our local news person. Next weekend, February 8th, 9th, is that correct? Is that next weekend?
Mhm.
Yeah. The South Granville Minor Hockey will be hosting a U18B house tournament called the Mullet Cup, which is going to bring in 7 teams from out of the area, some as far as up in Hawkesbury and St. Isidore. So roughly, 100 athletes plus a couple parents per athlete over 2 days, Saturday and Sunday, will be a good boost and shows potential with the rink up there that we have of hosting top-notch tournaments. So,
Mullet Cup.
the Mullet Cup, and just a sidebar, so we're actually we've worked with some of the staff to potentially bring in a local barber to do hockey haircuts inside the mini arena. Yes, adds a touch of uniqueness to the tournament and like a memory. So yeah,
Nice.
Anyone gonna sign up for a haircut?
I bet you a lot of the hockey players.
I bet they will too.
Sounds good.
Okay.
You know, my brother used to do that. He used to carve the numbers of the kids in
Yeah.
their heads. They would come in before a tournament.
You did mine.
And bleach them.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, everyone. Well done. So we're gonna move on to staff reports. We only have one today, but it's staff report 03/2025, the River Route 2024 results. Before you take over, Matt, I'm just gonna read the motion that council directs staff to renew the River Route Transit Service Partnership Agreement for the period of April 1st, 2025 to March 31st, 2026. And that staff be directed to explore funding options that could support the purchase of a new bus, shelters and expanded hours of service and return with details for consideration. Can I get a mover and seconder, and then we'll have a presentation? Councillor Lockett, Councillor Young. Matt, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. So I'll just go over a sort of an overview of the year we've had with the River Route, and then I'll dig into some of the grant pieces spoken to in the recommendation. So there's a transit service partnership agreement between the 4 municipalities of Prescott, Augusta, Edwardsburg, Cardinal, and Brockville. As part of that agreement, there's a yearly review by each partner to affirm that we're going to continue with the program. And so this term is in line with the gas tax delivered by the province with their term. So rather than calendar year, it's April 1 until March 31. So that's why the renewal would actually start April 1 of this year as opposed to January 1. And so the reason we do the renewal process is to, if anybody wants to make changes before the new agreement would kick in, and also if anybody wanted to terminate the agreement, we would have until February the 28th to provide written notice. So digging into 2024 on the River Route, we saw an increase in ridership of 28%, with a total ridership of 7,277 riders. So this is a large increase over the last 2 years, where we had about 5,700 in 2023 and about 3,800 in its first full year in 2022. When we looked at the initial ridership target set for the River Route back in 2021 when it started, the target from the participating municipalities was to try and get to 25 daily riders. We're happy to report we've now crossed that threshold. For the year of 2024, we averaged 29.3 riders across the whole year. So we've hit our goal from a ridership perspective. One thing to point out, in 2024, the city of Brockville modified their policy regarding free kids rides. So prior to 2024, kids 5 and under rode for free. In 2024, they expanded that to 14 and under. So with that, we did see a bump in the number of kids that did ride the service. So we had 350 kids ride the service last year. That's up from 94 and 36 in the prior 2 years. And anecdotally, one of the things staff, both at Prescott and in Brockville, have heard back was an increase in the number of high school students using the River Route. Reason being, there are high school students that go to school in Prescott but don't live in Prescott, and vice versa. We have students that live in Prescott but go to school at St. Mary in Brockville. And so often, if you participate in extracurriculars, that extends beyond the school bus hours of the school. And so the River Route provides an opportunity to get home after the normal school bus time. Another item for this year, the city of Brockville has installed automated vehicle location devices in all buses. That the process is ongoing right now, but the takeaway for the river route is these are systems that are typically built for snow plows in order to track where the plow was, whether the plow blade was up or down. And so similarly, we're going to use that technology with our river route bus. So we know when the passenger door is opening, both when and where, as well as when the wheelchair lift is deployed, when and where. And so when we look at 3 months or 6 months or a year of data, it gives us very good data in terms of understanding when we're busy and not busy, what corridors are especially busy. And the intention is it will help us with understanding ridership patterns and understanding how to make route changes as we move forward in the long term. Looking at the financial implications, so since we've started, the ask of the 3 participating municipalities has been a budget of $30,000 each per year. So the 12-month period we just completed, 2024, we were well within that dollar figure. We think that dollar figure will be more than sufficient moving into 2025 as well. Digging into the specific financials of 2024, we came in at just over $4,000 lower than the budgeted amount. A lot of this was due to both increased ridership, but also fuel costs being lower than what we had budgeted them at for the year. Obviously, it's always a difficult process to know where exactly fuel is going to land over a whole year. But we're happy to report one of the big metrics we look at in terms of the financials of the system is the cost per ride. So that's if we look at the total number of rides and the total outlay of the budget, how much money is it costing us to deliver each one of those rides? And so in our first full year of service, 2022, the total cost per ride was $43.20. For 2024, that number is down to $22.93. And so certainly keeping with our intentions of trying to year over year become more efficient and delivering that service at a lower cost. As we move into 2025, the budget has been developed accounting for inflation and increases in costs, with the overall budget increasing around 5%. So the total expense last year was $21,972. That was the total cost to the town of Prescott. The budget we're specifically asking for is $23,339 in operating for next year. The other financial item to consider regarding the grant applications. So the service currently operates using a spare bus that's given to us by the city of Brockville. So the way that their process works is they have a 6-year use cycle for their buses. And so rather than to get this program off the ground, rather than retiring and selling that bus after 6 years, they basically gave it to the river route to use for a 7th year before we would dispose of it. And so the last 4 years, we've been using a bus in its 7th year. They have a bus replacement slated for this year. They don't have a bus replacement slated for the next 2 years after that. And so we won't have a spare bus beyond 2025. As such, staff is recommending that we pursue federal funding through the Rural Transit Solutions Fund. So this is a fund specifically for transit services delivering to populations smaller than 50,000. So we think we fit very comfortably into this grant. This grant funds up to 80% of the cost of buses and shelters. So we're recommending that council direct staff to apply for this funding to fund a dedicated bus. And as part of the 2025 capital budget process, staff is recommending a line item for a cost of $30,000 to cover the Prescott share of this new bus. Now, depending on if the grant was successful and to what percentage, that cost may in fact be significantly lower. For example, if we get 80% funding on this bus, we're probably talking $12,000 to $14,000 as a total cost to Prescott for the funding of that bus. Additionally, we're working with the NTO to look into the Ontario Transit Infrastructure Fund. So this is a provincial grant. It only applies to projects that are expanding service to unserved areas or that are closing a transit gap. And so just straight line operating funding is not an eligible cost. However, if the river route was interested in expanding either physically to locations it doesn't go currently, or in terms of its hours of service, If we're looking to deliver service on a Saturday or later into the day, things like that. We believe that some of those costs would be eligible. And so the intention of staff is to speak more about what would and would not be eligible and bring that back to council at a later date. And so again, just circling back to the recommendation, we're asking that council give renewal for the 2025 term, but also directing staff to explore some of those funding options, and in particular, looking at options for how to fund a bus, knowing that the current arrangement has a timeline.
Thank you, Matt. Any questions from Matt? Councillor Campbell?
You, Mayor Shankar, are they gonna assess routes from the past year forward? Like, I ride the bus a lot, good weather, and you have to go up to Burke Hall, like, there's never anybody there, ever. So are they gonna assess those kind of routes? So
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so the intention is for staff in the 4 municipalities to discuss options in terms of route adjustments for this year.
Okay, and then if we're gonna get a new bus, could it have a bike rack on the front? Back? So I take my bike on the bus and there's no real rules about it. They say I'm allowed to take the bike on the bus, but depending on different drivers, I'm always having to explain. So if there's a way to keep the bike outside the bus, that'd be great.
Yep, we can certainly provide that as an option when we come back with funding. So, in fact, in my prior role, that is something I've looked into. And so, City of Kingston, for example, has bike racks on the front of their vehicles. The type of commercial bike rack you buy for a bus is significantly more expensive than a home use one. But so you're talking $12,000 to $15,000 for that option. But it is we will provide that information to council and to the other councils as part of any bus purchasing decision.
Great, yeah, because I want ridership to increase, but if it got crowded on that bus, I'm not sure they would let the bicycle on, I don't know.
So the challenge is there's some gray area there in terms of taking, our buses don't have a specific cargo securement area on them, and so it's very difficult to safely secure a bicycle on a bus.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Campbell. Councillor Kirkby?
Through you, Mayor Shankar. Matt, just to expand, so the technology that you're gonna put in will trigger how many times the door is opened. And also count, so onto Mary's thing, so when you show up at Merck Hall, the door opens once. Does it register how many people get on the bus? Sorry, did I miss something?
It doesn't, no. So there are systems you can buy that specifically have a little beam that will count. Those systems are very expensive. And so, we worked with so you could look at a clicker option or a door opening. So specific to Merck Hall or any other stop, we don't actually open the door. So the driver door opening and closing is manual. Like it is, and so that's why we decided to tie into that specifically. So every time the driver clicks that button, that records the.
So I guess the counting option, and I know we say we have flag down service, but if you're going to one location on a regular and you get one person, is that stop sufficient? You know what I mean? Versus possibility of other routes.
Right.
So I think that information would be good to know kind of how many are at each stop. And I think it would be as simple as a clicker, but that's not I'm just looking for that kind of information. And then I guess the other one is right now, this is all municipality funded and federal, provincial, if we get money from there. Is there an opportunity to work with the manufacturers? Because there's a lot of them in the north end of Brockville that are now relying on workers from out of town to provide any sponsorship. Is there any sponsorship avenue or other revenue that could be generated outside of the municipalities and federal?
Yeah, so going back to 2021, we received some funding. I believe it was called the Eastern Ontario Leadership. I can't remember the last letter in that acronym, but so part of it was specifically trying to target the businesses within East Ontario that have difficulty with staffing. And so one of the challenges we found is that a lot of the manufacturing facilities are 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. 12-hour shifts. And so it's difficult to build a service that runs for long enough to catch both ends of that service. It's something we can go back to those businesses on and try and gauge interest. I'm not aware of other municipalities that are, say, sponsored through those businesses, but I do know Kingston, as an example, some municipalities will offer a way for those facilities to buy tickets in bulk as a way to try and encourage ridership, and then they will adjust service level based on how many tickets have been purchased by those facilities. So yes, it's certainly something we can look further into.
I know last year when we went to that economic corridor meeting in Maitland, they were talking about how to get some employees from one areas to others. And this service here, you know, seems like a very good option for some of them workers that don't have a car or vehicle access, but live in Prescott, but work somewhere else. So it's just maybe something to think about. And I mean, advertising, I believe there is advertising on the river rent currently. Is there not some opportunity there? I thought there was. In the bus,
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's fine. And then my last comment is that when I looked at this last night, there's no way, and maybe I'm totally wrong, but there's no way to purchase tickets or fares online or a mobile app. Is that correct?
Correct.
Is that something that they would maybe consider, or do they see that as just an extra expense that really wouldn't generate revenue?
So, yeah, I know that City of Brockville is looking at options for trying to digitize the payment system. So paper tickets and collecting cash, there's a lot of cost and time associated with those systems. And so I know that is an item that they do have an approved item from a previous year to dig into, but I couldn't speak specifically to where the status of it is.
I guess if they offered it, then that would be good.
Yeah, I mean, unless we wanted to build an alternative ticketing model.
Maybe just, I don't know if we're in discussions at a level with the other municipalities in Brockville. It's maybe something to think about is just adding that extra service, because I think it's exact change, right? Or you have to come to the 5 locations to pay. Okay. Yeah.
Good.
Yep, we're good. Thank you.
Any other questions? So Matt, I have a question first. Matt, so I just want to double check here. So for the 2025 budget, you're looking for 23,339? Or top up to 30, and does the 30 include the bus?
So the 30 does not include the bus.
Okay.
So in past years, and I believe in 2025, the total ask has been 30, which is in excess of what the actual spend has been. The net difference between what's spent and the 30,000 has gone into reserve.
Okay.
Typically. And so my understanding is that's what's being asked for again in 2025. But internally, our projection is that the net spend will be lower than 30.
Gotcha. But in your report, it does say that staff are proposing 2025 project with a cost of 30 to cover the Prescott share of a new bus.
So that's a separate.
Separate 30.
Yeah, that is an additional line item that's being asked for.
And 30 is the max if we don't get any funding.
30 is actually 50%. That would be assuming that the 3 municipalities would be covering 50% of the cost of the bus.
Okay.
So
that's where you got 12 or 14 if you get 80%.
Correct.
I follow now. Thank you. Okay, good. Everyone catch that?
Yep.
Okay. So we have a motion on the table. We have a mover and a seconder, Councillor Lockett and Councillor Young. No further discussion, looks like. So all in favor? Opposed? Okay, good. Carried. Thank you. Thanks, Matt. Okay, moving on. That's it for staff reports. So there's no resolutions tonight. We have a couple of bylaws. First one is a deputy clerk appointment. The motion is that bylaw 05-2025. Oh, sorry. Did you have a question, Dana?
It was more just to offer feedback that we're getting through like some of the social media, just supporting Matthew's presentation.
Okay.
Nothing major.
I totally forgot,
No
sorry about
problem.
that. Sorry, so the motion is that bylaw 05-2025 being a bylaw to authorize the appointment of Chelsea Conklin as deputy clerk for the corporation of the town of Prescott be read and passed, signed by the mayor and clerk and sealed by the seal of the corporation. Mover and seconder, Deputy Mayor Burton, Councillor Lockett. Any discussion?
I'm wondering if
Just
it's.
early you. Do you have a speech made up, like, you know?
Wasn't prepared.
Just a little background for council and the audience out there. Chelsea was a summer student here in Prescott many, many years ago. Not many, many years ago. I sound like Councillor McConnell now, many, many years ago. But a few years ago, and it's nice to see her coming back to the fold here and going to take over Miss Mallory's deputy clerkship for the next 18 months, eh? Welcome. So we have a mover and seconder, all in favor? Looks like you're in. Carrie, thank you. All right, 14.2 is acting clerk bylaw. So the motion is that bylaw 06-2025, being a bylaw to appoint Matthew Armstrong as acting clerk for the town of Prescott, be read and passed, signed by the mayor and clerk, and sealed by the seal of the corporation. Mover and seconder, Councillor Kirkby and Councillor Lockett. Any discussion? All in favor? Oh, you have a question?
Yes, I do. I'm not sure who to ask it, so I will ask you.
Sure.
So what is the plan to the timeline that Matthew would be acting clerk? What is the timeline to look for?
So I thought he was already a clerk as well. Go
So
ahead.
through you, Mayor Schenker, Matthew is already a deputy clerk. That way he can sit in on closed session meetings. You always have to have a clerk in the room so other staff could be out. The acting clerk role would be in my absence, and at the time that a new clerk is named, this would be repealed. So just dependent on when the new person is selected and hired in.
And is there a timeline for that process?
Well, the advertisement is out right now for clerk till January 31st, I think. And then interviews will go forward from there.
All right, so would Mr. Armstrong be expected to do all of, the marriage licenses and dog tags and all the things you do?
So through you, Mayor Schenker, that's why we have Chelsea.
Okay.
And then I am also able to assist when needed.
He's a busy man and I just don't want him to get too.
I think this is just a formality, so in that in case, like Ms. Velkamp said earlier, when we have enclosed sessions and he's here, he can be the one in the room. All right, so we have a mover and seconder, correct? Yep, all in favor? Carried, thank you. So we have two items under new business. The first one is the Upper Canada District School Board's pilot expanded sports information that was brought forward by Councillor Lockett. Floor is yours.
So I'm not exactly sure what our role would be in this. I think maybe they just sent it to us for clarification, but I think a number of us have looked into it. And what things look like on paper, not necessarily what they are. So we were just, I was just hoping that we could look into it a little deeper, but they're not asking for anything from us. So it's just for our own information. So, and I think the next is the same. It was just for our information. The Accountability Act.
Okay, sorry. Yep.
So I'm satisfied with the
Yeah,
research that I've done.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor Lockett. So that includes 15.2, the Municipal Accountability Act resolution. All right, thank you. So moving on, we have no notices of motions, no proclamations. Any media questions, Tim?
Good evening, Your Worship, members of council. I do have a question. However, it pertains to an item that's not on the agenda. So as such, I'll reach out to you tomorrow.
Okay.
Thank you.
No problem. Looking forward to it. Closed session. So we have a motion is that council move into closed session at 7:15 PM to discuss matters pertaining to closed session minutes, and board appointments. So the Director of Administration, Clerk, Economic Development Officer, and Deputy Clerk remain in the room. The rest of you have to leave. Can I get a mover and seconder? Counselor Kirkby, Counselor Campbell, all in favor? Great, thank you. All right, rise and report. During the closed session, council approved the closed session minutes under item 19.1. Received information under 19.2, identifiable individual board appointments. And a recommendation has come out of closed session, and it is that council appoint the following members to the BIA Board of Management: Ashton Mays and Kashat Patel. Can I have a mover and seconder for that? Counselor Kirkby and Counselor Campbell, all in favor? Carried.
So Dana, do you call them then and let them know?
All right, next on the list is a confirming bylaw, that bylaw 07-2025, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the council meeting held on January 27, 2025. Passed, signed by the mayor and clerk and sealed by the seal of clerk. Ooh, you're scaring me. Mover and seconder, please. Councilor Campbell moves it. Councilor Lockett scares us, but she seconds it. All in favor? Carried, thank you. And last but not least, the motion is that the meeting be adjourned to February 3rd, 2025 at 6 p.m. Moved by Councilor Lockett. Whoops. Thank you. Pointed right at you too. And Councilor Lockett. There we
Must be looking.
go. All in favor? Carried. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you next week.